Have you ever noticed how some cities just have this energy about them, like they're not just existing, they're really driving things forward, shaping everything around them.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's what Rawalpindi feels like to me. I mean, it's right there next to Islamabad, Pakistan's capital, and it's like this incredible powerhouse. We're talking trade, military, transportation, you name it.
It's a hub, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We're going deep into Rawalpindi, or Pindi as lots of folks call it. We want to uncover what makes this place tick, but in a way that doesn't overload you. We'll get to the heart of it, the things that really matter.
What really gets me about Rawalpindi is the history. You can't just look at a map and understand this city. You've got to go back, way back. We're talking ancient civilizations, empires rising and falling. And through it all, Rawalpindi is there.
It's almost like it's woven into the very fabric of the region.
Exactly. It makes you think, how does a city stay so important for so long? How does it adapt through all those changes? It's fascinating.
It really is. And that's exactly what we want to explore. We've been digging through everything, old records, recent data, the whole works to give you a real sense of this city, its story, its significance, why it matters in Pakistan today. No lectures, just a good conversation. So let's start at the very beginning. Where does Rawalpindi's story actually begin?
Well, we have to go way back before Islam became the dominant force in the region. Rawalpindi was a significant site for both Buddhist and Hindu civilizations.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it went back that far.
Oh, yeah. It was a key part of the Gandhara civilization. That's the one known for those incredible sculptures, the ones that blended Greek and Roman styles with the Indian tradition.
Yeah, oh, right. The Gandharan art. I've seen those in museums. They're amazing.
Exactly. And it was a time when Buddhist thought was flourishing in the region.
Ah.
And get this, nearby, you have Taxila. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's absolutely packed with ancient Buddhist ruins.
So it was like a real center of culture and thought back then.
Exactly, a vibrant hub. Now, during the Mughal Empire, Rawalpindi itself wasn't as prominent, but it still held a strategic position as a kind of crossroads. But then, under the Sikh Empire, that's between 1799 and 1849, things really started to shift.
How so?
That's when Rawalpindi really began to cement its role as a major administrative center and a key point for trade.
It's becoming more and more important to whoever's in power.
Right. And then in 1849, after defeating the Sikhs, the British took over. They immediately recognized how strategically important Rawalpindi was. But for them, it was all about the military.
They saw its potential as a military stronghold.
Exactly. They set up a major military headquarters there to control the entire surrounding region. And that decision, well, it completely transformed Rawalpindi. They built all the infrastructure, the roads, the railways, those huge cantonment areas, everything needed for a powerful military presence. And in a way, that laid the groundwork for the modern city we see today.
It's amazing how those decisions from centuries ago still shape things today.
It really is.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to 1947, Pakistan gains independence. And guess what? Rawalpindi doesn't fade into the background. It remains this crucial center both for the military and the economy. And here's a little fun fact for you. For a whole decade, from 1959 to 1969, Rawalpindi actually served as the temporary capital of Pakistan.
Wow, I had no idea. So it was literally the center of the nation for a while.
While they were building Islamabad, yeah. And even today, it holds immense influence, especially with the Pakistan Army's general headquarters, the GHQ being located there. It's the nerve center of their military operations, and that has a ripple effect on national defense and politics.
You can't talk about Pakistani politics without considering Rawalpindi.
Okay, so we've got this really rich historical context now, but what about Rawalpindi today? Where exactly is it, and what's it like to be there?
Well, picture this. Rawalpindi sits in northern Punjab, right near those incredible Himalayan foothills. Yeah. It's also nestled close to the Margalla Hill, so it's got this beautiful backdrop. And it's not exactly flat. It has an elevation of about 508 meters, which is about 1,667 feet above sea level. So up in the hills a bit. That must mean interesting weather.
You bet. It's got what's called a humid subtropical climate, so you get the full range of seasons. Summers, think May to September, are hot, and I mean really hot. Temperatures often go above 40 degrees Celsius, which is over 104 Fahrenheit, and it's humid, too.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
Oh, it is. But then you've got the monsoon season hitting around July and August. And when I say rain, I mean serious downpours. While it's great for agriculture, it can also lead to some flooding in parts of the city that are lower lying.
Ah, so a bit of a trade-off there.
Right. But then, as things cool down, you get into winter from December to February. It's much milder then, with temperatures ranging from cool to, well, I guess you could call it mild. You
Mhm.
might see it dip down to 2 to 5 degrees Celsius, especially at night, which is about 35 to 41 Fahrenheit.
So a bit of a change from those scorching summers.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And then, of course, you have those lovely transition periods, spring in March and April, and autumn in October and November. That's when the weather is at its best, with comfortable temperatures and less humidity.
Sounds like the perfect time for a visit.
It really is.
Okay, so we've covered the history, the geography, the climate. Now let's talk money. We mentioned that Rawalpindi is a major economic hub, but what does that actually look like on the ground? What makes the economy tick?
Rawalpindi's economy is really diverse. Trade's huge, of course, but it's also got significant manufacturing and a large service sector. It's all connected.
Let's break that down a bit, starting with trade. I imagine those historical trade routes still have an impact today.
Absolutely. Rawalpindi is famous for its bazaars and markets. You know, those bustling, vibrant marketplaces where you can find almost anything. Places like Raja Bazaar, Sadar, and Commercial Market are really the heartbeat of the city.
It's that mix of tradition and commerce, isn't it?
Yes. But alongside all that, you also have modern retail booming. Local and international brands are popping up in these huge modern shopping malls. So you've got this really interesting mix of the old and the new ways of doing business all happening side by side.
That's a cool dynamic. And then, of course, there's that massive military presence we talked about. What role does that play in the city's economy?
Oh, the military's impact is huge. I mean, the Pakistan Army's GHQ being located in Rawalpindi means you have this entire network of businesses that are directly related to defense logistics, equipment, research, the works. Plus, it's a major employer, which means you got a lot of people with steady incomes supporting local businesses. It ripples outward.
It's a whole ecosystem, not just uniforms and tanks.
Right, exactly. And don't forget the manufacturing that goes on in Rawalpindi: textiles, pharmaceuticals, automobile workshops, you name it. There's this area called the Rawat Industrial Estate. That's basically a hub for all kinds of manufacturing.
So it's not just reliant on one industry.
Not at all. And then, with Islamabad right next door, you can imagine what that means for real estate and construction.
Oh, yeah. I bet that's booming.
It is. The growth of Islamabad has fueled this massive surge in real estate development in Rawalpindi. New housing societies are popping up everywhere, and commercial projects are constantly being launched. It creates jobs, drives infrastructure development, and just keeps the whole economy moving.
Makes sense. And finally, given its strategic location, I'm guessing transportation and logistics must be a big deal in Rawalpindi.
Oh, absolutely. It's a major transit point, connecting Punjab to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Azad Kashmir. That means a constant flow of goods and people, and a strong transport and logistics sector to handle it all. It's really the linchpin.
So a really interconnected and diverse economy, just like the city itself. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the culture of Rawalpindi, what daily life is like for people who live there.
Rawalpindi is a blend of traditional and modern. You see that everywhere in how people interact, in family structures, even in the way the urban and rural kind of blend together. And then you add in the ethnic diversity, and it makes for a really fascinating mix.
Tell me more about that diversity. What languages would I hear walking down the street in Rawalpindi?
Well, Punjabi is the most common, for sure. It's the language of the majority, and it really sets the cultural tone. But Urdu is also widely spoken and understood, since it's the national language. And of course, English is common in business and education.
So a mix of local and more widely used languages.
Right. But you also hear regional languages like Potawari. It's got its own unique dialect and traditions, and Pashto, spoken by the Pashtun community. And when it comes to ethnicity, you've got a real mix. Punjabis, Pashtuns, Kashmiris, Mahajers. Each group brings its own traditions, its own perspective.
Sound like a really rich tapestry.
It really is. And that diversity is reflected in how they celebrate. Big Islamic festivals like Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, huge celebrations. The whole community comes together, prayers, feasts, gatherings. It's a beautiful thing to see.
A real sense of unity.
Yes. Now, Basant, the kite flying festival that used to be huge, but nowadays there are a lot of restrictions because of safety concerns. You still see it, but not like it used to be. That's too bad.
Yeah. But military parades are also a big deal in Rawalpindi. Remember, it's a major military city. And of course, National Day celebrations are always a big event.
Okay, so lots to see and do culturally, but we can't talk about a city without talking about the food, right?
Oh, the food in Rawalpindi. Get ready for some incredible flavors. It's this amazing mix of Punjabi, Mughlai, and Afghan influences.
I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
You've got to try pindi chol. There are these super flavorful chickpeas cooked with spices until they're just perfect. And chapli kebab. It's this delicious flat kebab made with minced meat, and it's got Pashtun origins.
I love a good kebab. Then, of course, you have the classics, nihari, a slow-cooked meat stew, paya, which is a rich and flavorful dish made with trotters, and biryani, that fragrant rice dish with meat and spices. For breakfast, there's halwa puri. It's deep-fried bread served with a semolina pudding and a chickpea curry. It's a real treat. And you can't leave without trying some of the local tweets. Jalebi, those crispy, syrupy swirls, gulab jamun, these soft, spongy milk balls soaked in sugar syrup, and sohan halwa, which is this flaky, melt-in-your-mouth sweet made with flour, sugar, and nuts.
Now I'm really hungry. Any recommendations for where to find all this amazing food?
Oh, tons. For a traditional Desi breakfast, you've got to check out Kartapura Food Street. It's the real deal. Sadar and Commercial Market, they've got a huge range, from fast food and cafes to some really good traditional Desi restaurants.
There's something for everyone.
Exactly. And then, if you're in the mood for street food and evening snacks, Murray Road is the place to be. There are vendors everywhere selling all sorts of delicious treats.
Sounds like a foodie's paradise. Now, Rawalpindi is clearly more than just commerce and the military. What about education? What's the scene like there?
Rawalpindi has a lot to offer in terms of education. It's home to some really excellent institutions, and they're playing a huge role in shaping the region.
Any standouts?
At the university level, you've got Pir Mehr Ali Shah